the three ways to produce carbon credits are renewable energy, so solar or wind, energy saving, so energy performance enhancement for building and structures, and carbon sequestration, carbon sequestration. Now, all these three, let's say, technologies, what they do, they reduce the quantity of CO2 that is brought in the atmosphere. But there is also another way to reduce the problem, because the main issue is not directly the CO2 that is necessary for the vegetable. Our plant uses CO2 in photosynthesis, but it's the effect that is the consequence of the presence of the CO2 and the other climate change gases. Now, it's been scientifically proven that if we manage through the use of some kind of technology the thermal balance of the planet, we can reduce the effect generated by the CO2. Around the world has been created, let's say, system to, in some way, finance or incentives the reduction of carbon emission. One of these, for example, is the European emission trade market, that is the biggest in the world at the moment, and I think it will continue to be the biggest. But it can be open to any other country that want to get into this kind of stock market. It's working the way it works is very easy. Each country have the possibility to produce a certain amount of CO2. If you produce more, you need to compensate in terms of money the countries that are producing less than how much they can potential produce. This is the way how you generate money is through the emission of a kind of bond that is called carbon credit. Today, the carbon credit in the EU ETS market that correspond to 1 equivalent ton of CO2 is paid €100. I don't tell the exchange now with the Oman real, but for you I think it's more easy. So every 1 ton of CO2 that I produce more than how much I can produce, I should pay the equivalent value on the market to someone that do energy saving, that do renewable, or that do carbon sequestration. But as I said before, there is another way to reduce the impact in terms of global warming, in terms of carbon footprint, the impact of the presence of the CO2 in the atmosphere. And this is accordingly also with the IPCC guidelines related to the 7 report. This is related to the radioactive forcing. We receive a certain amount of sun radiation, so a certain amount of energy. The quantity that go through the atmosphere and reach the ground is what generates increasing of temperature. In the moment that our CO2 emission increase, what we do, we generate this kind of effect where the reflected radiation is reflected back by the greenhouse gas. Now, the reflected fraction of the sun radiation, as per definition, is called albedo. Managing the albedo, so changing the quantity of radiation that I can reflect through space, I can generate an effect that behaves exactly as I'm taking away a certain amount of CO2 from the atmosphere. The advantage of the use of the high albedo that can be to roofing, can be special kind of vegetable, is that you have two effects. One effect, the one direct effect, especially in this part of the world, is the reduction of consumption for cooling, because so that my surface reflect the main part of the sun radiation, the quantity of it that is transmitted inside structure and buildings is less. So the quantity of energy that I need to keep the temperature inside, here we are chill situation, it's very nice, but in this moment this CO2 is cooling a part of it that comes from our roof. Now, if I can reflect the most part of this radiation, the quantity of it that comes inside is reduced. So as a consequence of this, I need less energy to maintain the temperature inside. This means carbon credit. I'm generating energy efficiency for my building. I can generate carbon credit. The reflected radiation, so that is reflected through space, through a memorandum of understanding signed last year between the University of Perugia, that is an Italian university, who owned a patent on the methodology that allowed to calculate exactly how many tons of carbon dioxide you are compensating with the albedo generated on a certain surface, and the University of Sharjah, who join us in this in the I Support Albedo project, we can quantify exactly how much ton of CO2 in terms of effect I'm compensating with the albedo. Because if I remove a certain quantity of energy from the ground, I reduce the temperature because my radiation don't hit the ground. And this reduction corresponds like that I'm taking a certain amount of CO2 from the atmosphere. But let me give you now some case study where can be applied and which are the numbers. This is a case study in Italy, where an high albedo surface has been applied. This is a mall in Milan. You can see from the thermocamera the difference of temperature between the two. We are at about 50% of reduction of surface temperature. Consequently, the quantity of heat transmitted inside is less. The result of this was that this mall has a reduction of 27% in energy consumption for cooling. We are talking, this is a surface of about 14,000 square meters. We are talking about 14,000 kilowatt per hour less per week. Italy. Greece. So let's move to, at 9 in the morning, before the application, surface temperature, 57 degrees. At 2 p.m., 65. After coating the surface, we reduce from 37 to 23, from 65 to 37. Let's say that an high reflective surface, while normally an horizontal surface under the sun reach about 30 Celsius over the temperature, on average, an high reflective surface reach only few degrees over the air temperature. This is a case study we have done in Zayed Port. There are small buildings inside Zayed Port in Abu Dhabi where people take rest, eat, they stay there during the changing of the shift. We took two buildings exactly the same dimension, exactly the same kind of CO2 in terms of power. The distance between the two buildings was around 300 meters. We applied the high reflective coating on the roof of one of the two, and then for 3 months we took the energy consumption of the two and we compared continuously, which was the behavior from January to April. So while in terms of whether the temperature was rising, the energy consumption of one building was rising normally. The energy consumption of the building where we applied the high reflective coating was increasing by 30% less. So at the end of the 3 months, the saving generated in only 3 months was 30%. And you can see here, this is the temperature underneath with a thermometer from 49.4 to 25.9. These are 25 degrees of difference just coating a roof. Usually the cost of this kind of technology have a payback that is quite largely within the warranty time of the technology. Oman, we are in your country, so same situation, two areas, same building. In one area we applied the cool coating, and in the other area we didn't apply. We measure the temperature on the surface, under the ceiling, and at ground level, because it's important, of course, what is the temperature on the ground level. In this area, we didn't have the coating applied. The temperature of the roof reached 72.8 Celsius. In the same moment, on the coated was 41, 50 degrees of difference. At the ceiling level, 56 without, 27 with. At ground level, 52, 21. I don't need AC. This was in July. I didn't need AC. 21 degrees, maybe I should warm it. the area because it's 21 start to be cold. But the technology can be applied not only on roofs. This is an exercise that we have done with the Minister of Energy and Infrastructure Development in UAE. We applied a cool coating on a parking area, two parking areas. This one is a school complex in Zayed Educational Complex in Sharjah, and this is the parking of the office of the Minister of Infrastructure Development. The advantage here is that this school complex is very symmetric. So we had the perfect situation. We applied on half of the area. So you can see here, this is the area where the coating has been applied. And by the way, don't bother, it's just white, but it's not shining. So we also measured the comfort of the people to walk on the area. And their answer was, it's colder. But the water don't bother, the white don't bother you? No, it's just colder. This site was under testing for 2 years. So considering also the aging, the dirting because of the dust, of the sand, and so on. On average, the surface temperature was reduced by 5 Celsius during winter. Let's say the coldest part of the year in this region, and 15 degrees in July. Now, I think most of you are aware about that phenomenon that is called urban heat island. The urban heat island effect is the effect for who, when the sun goes down and we move from outside the town to the town usually is 1, 2, sometimes 2.5 degrees hotter. This is because during the day, our building, our roads, our structure get heat. Once the sun goes down, they start to release this heat and they just warm each other. Europe spent from 5 to 6% of the total energy consumption of the European community to compensate this effect. UAE is around 11.2%. Oman is around 8%. The 8% of your energy bill of each of you that live here is due to the fact that you have to cool the heat that comes from the building of your neighbor. Now, don't go to complain with your neighbor. It's an effect, it's an effect that he cannot control. But think if we could reduce this amount in terms of and reinvest this in improving the performance of our building. This is another effort. We are in Africa, where has been asked to us, there were labor camps, there were network stations. We reached a point peaks of 54% of energy consumption reduction. So what we have done. Now, the University of Perugia the University of Perugia set the definitive methodology, because of course when you are talking about a measurement of the radiative force of the albedo, you have to take in account several factors. The clouds, the quantity of radiation that goes through the atmosphere, the dust, the aerosol, the dirting of the roof. So we needed to have a system that could give us in real time the real condition of the place in order to quantify exactly how much is the CO2. We have done a site pilot in Perugia. The system works in this way. There is a local way to measure through an albedometer, and there is a measurement from space through satellite. We can access to 5 satellites, so we can map the whole world every 5 days. So we can make a measurement on the side, and in the meantime, a measurement up from outside the atmosphere, on the troposphere. So we can compare and quantify exactly how much is it the CO2 that we can compensate with the albedo. Now, if you allow me, I need to let this start. How can I do it? From here? Just a second, huh? Okay.
installazione sperimentale per la misura del radiative forcing con strumentazioni locali, ovvero albedometro e piranometro, correlate a strumentazioni satellitari che dovranno appunto dalla troposfera misurare la quantità di radiazione solare uscente a fronte della radiazione solare incidente in questa località, in questa superficie. La superficie complessiva dell'elevato Albedo è di circa 900 metri quadri e il sistema consente di valutare la compensazione che tale superficie ad elevato albedo produce in termini di anidride carbonica equivalente.
You can translate in English.
There was subtitle.
La posizione dell'albedometro è
try
stata
to
scelta in
expand it.
maniera baricentrica rispetto al
ما تعيدها من أول. ما يصير فيديو.
No problem, Francisco. You can,
Okay.
you can can't explain.
Is visible now?
ecco,
Or I can translate it actually.
installazione
if you want.
sperimentale per la misura del radiative forcing con strumentazioni locali, ovvero albedometro e piranometro, correlate a strumentazioni satellitari che dovranno
Francisco,
appunto dalla
translate.
troposfera
Okay.
quantità di radiazione solare
Translate.
uscente
Can't translate.
a fronte
No
della
problem, we can
radiazione solare
translate.
incidente in questo.
Okay, so the satellite compares the difference between the radiation that arrive from the sun with the radiation that come up through space. And this allow to calculate exactly how many equivalent tons in terms of effect we are compensating. And this reading is doing in real time, in any moment can be done. As I said before, this kind of technology can be applied on any kind of building structure, even the cars. But the other effect that is important is the reduction of temperature. And this is not just a white roof, okay? Because now, if you look on the other side, also the other side is a very light color. The question is that the technology on eye reflecting material developed the possibility to have eye reflectivity mainly in the near infrared. So in terms of visibility, we don't see it. We can have black color that can reflect 29% of the sun radiation. Of course, the white is the one with the highest performance. And the two readings are through FTP are continuously comparing between the satellite and the reading on site. And through internet, with my mobile, I can check in any moment how much is it the CO2 that I'm compensating in a site that is in Miami, in Bangkok, wherever, because it's possible to do this through internet. And the difference of temperature between the two areas was 15 degrees. Now, let's go to the hand. So let's put together what I support Albedo want to be. Okay, we have seen that this kind of technology can allow us to reduce energy consumption up to 30%, sometimes even more, but let's stay on the safe side, 50%. To this, I can add the reduction of the urban heat island effect that in Oman is about 8% of the total energy consumption. If I reduce the difference of temperature between day and night and between, allow me to see this, because to say this, in this region there is no winter. Maybe in Oman a little bit, but usually here I used to say we have a summer and hell, because it's too hot sometimes. So if I reduce the difference of temperature between the season and between day and night, I reduce also the thermal stress for my building. And if I reduce the thermal stress of my building, I extend the life of my building. So the cost in terms of amortization of the cost of a building can be divided for more time, for longer time. So the amortization cost is reduced. Reduction of CO2 footprint. Let's give some number to have an idea. At this latitude, we can compensate the effect of 1 ton of CO2 when we generate an albedo over 90%, and for example, during the test, the measurement gave us 94.7 in terms of reflectivity. We can, in this region, we can compensate 1 ton every 5 to 8 square meters. This means that if I make a cool roof on a big mall, let's take the biggest roof that we have in this region, Dubai Mall, 200,000 square meters, 5 million euro of carbon credits. This to be added to the energy saving up to the 30% that I'm going to generate on the cooling system, on the AC system. Of course, less AC means improving the quality of the air, both indoor and outdoor. And this means less cost for the government for the health. So this is another effect that we have to put in consideration. So we reached the point that next year we will have the COP28 here in this region. Will be held in UAE. We want to propose to the international community to approve the HAS, high albedo surface, as a technology that can allow to generate tradable carbon credit on the EU ETS market. From the scientific point of view, everybody agree on this. Now it's the only question of politics. We need to involve all the government in this region. We need to give this one more instrument to people, because our economy cannot go out from oil or gas in this moment. We are not ready. We can do something, but more instruments are available for us to reduce the consequence of what we need to survive. More easy will be for us to be able to reach the point where we will not need this anymore. So I'm going around the country of the Gulf. We will present the same project at COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh in November. I will present the same project in Miami in December. We need the support of the country of the region, because this is the region where most of the oil producers are. So that you gave something for the technology give also something to try to block the consequence of what we are doing. Any question? Yes.
Fantastic, really interesting. Thank you for introducing this to us. It looked like you guys were just painting it on the roof. This stuff isn't particularly toxic or...
No, absolutely not. I can tell you more. Usually this material are acrylic or polyurethane based, and the one that are polyurethane based, we are talking about water-based products. The polyurethane based system is also a waterproofing system, so I can do in the meantime waterproofing and thermalproofing on my roof. But I can tell you more. Now we added also the photocatalysis to our technology. The photocatalysis is a reaction that using the UV radiation from the sun and the composition of the material that we apply literally clean air from pollution. We are commercializing filters for air that kill virus, bacteria, pollutant. We have also tested with the COVID. And if the air go through the photocatalytic filter, there is no virus at the end. So you can use your building to literally clean the air from pollution. I'm talking about sulfur oxide, nitrogen oxide, formaldehyde, PM2.5, PM10. All these are drastically reduced. So our building can help us to improve the quality of the environment where we live. And the earth is a living body. So we need to help this to breathe, eat, do everything we do. And we have the technology today. It's accessible, it's cheap.
Any questions? Okay.
A little bit more technical. So what about surface preparation? So you said you can apply it to any surface, including asphalt, you can fill out. What about the surface? You have to blast it, you have to prime it, and how long does the coating last? You
Okay.
have to recoat in the years or...
Of course, depend which kind of application we are talking about. So, let's start from the ground. Road can be applied on interlock or asphalt. The only thing that changes the primer. The only preparation is just to clean from dust, or if there is oil or something like this, because it can happen with the car. After you clean from this, so water and detergent, that's it. The specific primer for the surface that will generate a bond from the surface to the coating that you are going to apply. Of course, for the road, for the parking, the coating is based on the number of cars per day that you have in the place. So the thickness, it depends from this. But we are, as Watergy International Group, we are projecting now to make roads. Think about cool roads. Your AC in your car will run less because the road where you sit is colder. Same things for roof. The only requirement is that the surface has to be clean from oil, grease, or silicone, and you can apply on metal. By the way, on the metal, the system is also an anti-corrosive treatment with military specification, so it blocks the corrosion. Shingle, tiles, concrete, on whole shelf, bituminous, polyurethane, polyvinyl, because all the application, we have the possibility to choose a big gamma of primers. So we just need to know what is there, make it clean, and generate the bond between the top coating and the surface.
Okay. Yeah,
So, just a quick question. So, is there any safety issue when you say implement this on roads? The reflectivity sometimes, as I've learned due to the high Albedo, it could be blinding. Sometimes, given the high solar radiation.
That's why on the road we are not going to do the white.
So only. But then, when it comes to any in regards to the aviation, any risk on that regards, or do we?
Okay, an high albedo surface reflects diffused light, so it's not a direct reflectivity.
Okay.
So the shining effect is not there. First.
Ah, okay. So.
Secondly, of course, for the road we are not going for the white because with the fact that the car drive on it, it will be white for 1 year. Then after you need to clean. So we are going to project some color that is more close to the environment colors. And the trick there will be to develop as much as possible the reflectivity in the near infrared. We cannot see.
Yes.
So for us can be yellow, but instead in the near infrared reflect 99%. So from this point of view, this is what we have seen in the parking in
So people walking in the surface of the building, will they need any eye protective wear? Nothing, not at all, right? Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ثانك يو فرانسيسكو. اولا مشكورين على عمل مختبر الكربون. نحن دائما